All right, balloons in, balloons out. It's going to give some interesting noises. Anyway, welcome back to Fitness Podcast number 2. Probably my 6th or 7th podcast. Getting into the flow of these now. Julian is here with me once again. We have just finished week 2 of the 12-week body transformation. Julian, obviously I have my thoughts as to how I think I've done. This podcast supplements the video that goes out on a Monday, every Monday at 5 p.m. You've come up twice this week as opposed to 4 times. I've had 3 sessions on my own. I've had the cardio session on my own and I've had 2 weight sessions on my own. How do you see my progress having come in here this Friday from Monday last week to today?
I've seen a number of progress markers. Namely, we've seen that you've lost a good amount of body fat and water retention, just even in these last, 10 days roughly? 11 or 12 days actually, 12 days.
12 days.
Massive amounts. So I think we're down to a stone off already, which is fantastic. That's the weight side of things. I've seen you progress in strength as much as anything else as well. Today we added 20 kilos to your first deadlift session. I've seen your movement dexterity improve across all the isolation and compound moves, so we're moving better in the gym. I've seen your energy and your desire improve. I've also seen your fitness improve. So if you think about the sprints on session 1, they were a real struggle. 15-second sprints at the end of a leg session. Well, we needed a break halfway through, let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Today, absolutely smashed it. So yeah, I've seen progress across a number of metrics. So it's great.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me at the end of this session was those sprints. You mentioned that. Honestly, the first week, 15 seconds, it doesn't seem a lot. By the time you've actually got into the momentum of actually going at your maximum effort, you're actually about to finish.
Yeah.
Whereas 30 seconds is a bit more of a substantial period of time. You're doing 10 of that. That's 5 minutes of intense max effort. And today, when we actually finished the session, I was wanting to carry on the bike because
you were in
that
a rhythm.
momentum was,
absolutely.
I was in that rhythm. It felt good in a bad way.
So it's enough time to have passed 2 weeks to see some real adaptation, both in terms of your cardio fitness and your strength. And we've definitely seen evidence of that already. And it comes from the fact that you haven't missed a session yet. You've applied yourself fully for those hour sessions each time. You've not missed a cardio session. Your nutrition's been on point, so you've been fueling your body with the right macronutrients and the right micronutrients. It's been really, really vitamin, mineral rich foods that you've been consuming. And obviously, we're going to see an effect, even in a short space of time. When you get that nutrition and training bang on, there is real synergy. And we can make a lot of progress, actually, in a very short space of time. And people will not accept that until they've actually tried it and done it themselves. They won't believe that's possible until they do it themselves.
Yeah.
But it can happen quickly. You know, it doesn't have to take a year, 2 years. You can start to see progress really, really fast.
So obviously I went into Anytime Fitness, the gym that didn't want us to be filming training sessions. So I was going in there on the sessions where we weren't together, when we used the King's Gym, which has obviously been very kind to sort us out for the duration of this series. And I weighed myself on Tuesday for the first time since that Monday. And that's when I realised that I'd lost 4.5 kilos. It was kind of like teetering between 4.5 and 5 kilograms.
Yeah.
And at the time, I always remember when I was a kid, and if we had weighing scales at home, it would always be in stone. I'd never actually know how many kilos I weighed.
Yes.
And when we discovered this morning, when we did that little Google search and found that 5 kilograms is almost a stone.
Not far off. Yeah, 1.35 kilos off. It's mad.
And that was Tuesday. And since then, I've had a low calorie day. I've had a cardio day. We've got a lot more working out in. And that could be a stone now.
I think so.
Almost.
We'll check on Monday.
Yeah.
We'll check at the exact 2-week mark on Monday. But I'm pretty confident, which is fantastic. And what that's achieved is you're now leaner and you're more receptive to nutrient uptake and also muscle growth. So that kind of phase, it has to happen initially. People won't look at you and think, you're a fat person, George. But, you know, that little bit of needless body fat was there. And to build muscle on top of that means it's always going to be there for the duration of the process, because you're never ever going to be in a position where your body needs to consume it for energy if you're in a constant surplus. So it's great that you've got your head down for those first 2 weeks. You've lost the excess body fat. We may carry on with that for another week or so. I'll assess it on Monday. we'll have a look.
Yeah.
But dude, I'm really, really pleased so far to this point with what we've achieved in just 12 days. It's mad.
Yeah, me too. I think it's, I've not just received your compliments on that front, I've been complimenting myself. I think my discipline has been unmatched compared to my previous efforts at trying to come up with some momentum in this kind of field.
You're invested, and I can see that.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think even reading the responses and hearing the feedback from the first podcast we did and the first video we posted, is very motivating for me to actually have people saying, you know what, this is really quite good. And even from a sense of, obviously the main objective for me to do this, as we mentioned last week for the why of fitness, it's I want to feel fitter and I want to be healthier and I want the gym to be part of an active lifestyle for me. Yeah. But it's also nice to also get that external gratification of the content is looking and sounding really good as well. So there's so many different facets of good things coming from this right now. But something I've struggled with this week and something that I'm sure a lot of people who start off in fitness or even maybe they peter off and come back and they're looking in the mirror a lot, they're trying to gauge these little mini wins, as we call them, the mini goals and tick boxes. I've been looking in the mirror sometimes this week after a shower, when I first get up in the morning. If I'm last thing before I go to bed, I'm brushing my teeth.
As we do,
As we all do. And I've been looking at myself, and some days, particularly this week, not so much in the first week, it's more evident this week, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm thinking, wow, I can see that I've shed some body fat on my waist. I've shed some body fat on the top of my chest. And then the next time I go in, I'm looking in the mirror and it almost looks as though what I saw before wasn't there.
Yes. Okay, so this is really, really common. And there's a few things going on here. So one thing is the psychology of... It's very challenging to see progress when we see our own bodies every single day. Now, there are also times when your body may look leaner or more muscular or fatter and less muscular at different points in the day or different points in the week, owing to a number of physiological factors. For instance, your body will look best when you have a large amount of glycogen present in the muscles, when the muscle is full, and when water retention is low. Okay, so when we get that effect, what we see is a leaner, more muscular physique. The opposite of that, and what often follows a period of caloric deficit, at least in the initial stages, is the body might actually look a bit worse when glycogen is depleted and when we get the counter effect of retaining a little bit more water. So what you'll then see is a flatter and slightly fatter looking shape, and that doesn't mean you've gained body fat. What has happened is you've lost muscle glycogen and you're retaining a bit more water, so we flatten off completely. So what you're seeing in the mirror is not always reflective of what's occurring internally, and it might be being disguised by like temporary changes which have nothing to do with body fat and actual lean muscle tissue balance. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I understand that.
So I think for anybody going into a diet, you have to stick the course for the first few weeks because your scale weight might be going down. What the number says on the scales will be going down. But you may be looking in the mirror thinking, I don't look as muscular anymore, or I look a bit softer, a bit fatter. But it's because initially, once that glycogen is depleted and we start retaining a bit more water as almost like a defense mechanism, it's going to completely change the visual appearance. Power through that, and out the other end, you will emerge with the physique that you want. But you've really got to accept that you might look a bit worse before you start to look a lot better.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that I really wanted answering, because I know that it's something that's put me off in the past when I think I'm working out hard and I think I'm making some progress, and then I look at myself and it's like, you got a man boob, bro. What are you doing? You've been eating well, you've been training what I would have considered well in the past. And that can definitely be something that I think puts people off, and that leads it right into these objectives. Now, obviously, we set the goals out between us when we were in that cafe before we started any of this filming, before we even thought about doing a 12-part fitness series, when we first discussed why I wanted to even start doing something serious about my training in the first place. We set the objectives, we got out on the balcony, and it was a colder day than it is today. It's 12 degrees today. That's warm.
That's all right.
That's very warm.
Yeah, it's good.
Got into my underwear, and we took some before photos.
Erotic ones.
Oh, wonderfully erotic. I mean, we won't show them right now.
But if you stick around to week 12, you might get a sneak peek.
Absolutely. Censored. What's the importance of these?
Okay, so we have to create and mark as many objective measures as possible, because looking in the mirror is a subjective measure. There are so many things that will influence the reflection that you see in the mirror. Taking a before picture is fantastic in the sense that it provides a direct comparison. I think even after 2 weeks, you could compare your current condition to that with which you started, and you'd see a noticeable difference. It also acts as a great motivational tool, because you have that picture to look at and look back on to assess the progress you've made more objectively up to this point and for the next 10 weeks as well. Okay, so it's a good reminder of where you started, because we can so easily get fixated on where we want to be without recognizing where we come from, and that's what a progress picture will do for you.
So would you say it's more of a case of, if you say you don't see progress, I think I can sit here and say that despite looking in the mirror and having like these dysmorphic thoughts of the way I'm looking, I know that I've made a difference in the way I look.
Yes.
Say for instance, you are 2 weeks in to this very 12-week plan, and you take a look at yourself and you think, I think I'm doing well with the process, but I'm not making any progress.
Sure.
Would you say that the focus and the attention shouldn't be necessarily on that distinction of the end goal, and looking at your physical stature in terms of the progress between that before picture and the way you look on week 2, week 3 or week 4? That can put some people off.
Yes.
Because even now, we're sat here and we're a sixth of the way through the program now. We were a 12th of the way through last week.
Yeah.
We're a sixth of the way through now, and it's like, okay, time is creeping up now. Even now, I know that I've put everything into it. I'm thinking, I want to make next week just as valuable as this week has been.
Yes.
So in terms of focusing too much on what the end result is, how you want your body to look in this dream beach palm tree world, that can put some people off. How do you combat those thoughts of what I'm seeing right now isn't good enough and it's not, I don't think I'm at the right level?
Sure. So the first thing is accepting that nothing happens as quickly as we expect. Okay, that's a reality. We're dealing with living tissue here. It takes time to manipulate and to change living tissue. The second thing you can do is give yourself as many objective measures to mark progress as you can. So, the visual tool of a progress picture works great, but why not take little wins from much more objective things like, your 15-minute cycle time and your cardio, the numbers that you achieve across 3 sets on a deadlift, on a squat, on a bench press, on an overhead press. All of these things represent key markers which you cannot argue with. And remember, we're getting into fitness to feel confident and more happiness. Nothing makes us more driven and more happy than seeing progress, or at least knowing that we're moving in the right direction with anything, especially fitness. So give yourself markers to which you can objectively measure and improve week on week, and focus on the little wins. And it's a tick box exercise, even so much as, yes, I hit my calories today absolutely perfectly. I hit my session today, I hit my cardio session today. Focus on the process and the accumulation of lots of little steps. Your physiology is the same as mine, George. Is the same as Joe Blogs watching this right now. Tick off these boxes and the changes will happen. You have to have some faith in the process.
Yeah. So I'm looking at what I did today, for example. Obviously, we've been in the gym.
Yeah.
We've come straight back here. We're on a roll. We're feeling hyped. It's another week down. Setting up the podcast. I need to get a second microphone, just as like a little brainwave. And I listen to this and I remind myself to order one.
Yeah.
So what I did today, 70 kilos on a deadlift. What we did last week, 50 kilos on a deadlift. Now, if I'm just doing the basic maths here, I cannot imagine me lifting more than 100 kilograms on a deadlift. How do I get through that block of being comfortable? Say you're not here with me next week and I'm like, last week I successfully did 70 kilos for 10 and then 8 and then I think the final one it was 6.
Yes, sounds about right, yeah.
How do I increase that to 80 or 85?
So obviously progress with lifting is not linear. Okay, it's there are diminishing returns. Otherwise, we'd all be lifting 2,000 kilos in our first year of training.
Sounds great.
It would be fantastic. But it's just not going to happen. So this is where effective programming comes into play, because in your plan, you're not expected to make that level of progress every single week. Any progress is good progress. As small as it is, it doesn't matter. Okay, so we were able to make a significant jump between week 1 and week 2 because it's such a new stimulus. There's a lot of skill acquisition element of progress there as well. It's not just from muscle gain. In fact, it won't be from muscle gain, the fact that you've gained 20 kilos in your deadlift. It's come from increased confidence, better joint synchronization, better muscle activation, loads and loads of neurological factors. But, you know, I would quite happily expect you to next week add 5 kilos in total, or 2.5 kilos in total. As long as you're progressing either the weight or even the number of reps, some progress is what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to make these massive jumps. So set yourself realistic expectations. Guiding you today, I could see there was more in the tank, but I still didn't work you maximally. So save some for the following session.
And I think that is a real key thing for me. It's right now I've got that mental block that says, like, I don't see me lifting 100 kilograms on my deadlift ever. Like 70 was daunting enough today, and some people listen to this and be like, 70 kilos. Like, I do that to warm up, which some people do, of course. And when you do your demos, it does look as though it's a nice fluid process that you go through, and you're doing a nice.
It always feels heavier when you're not training, though. I'll tell you that right now.
When you're not psyched up for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you do to psych yourself up on a day when you really don't want to train, or does that day not exist anymore?
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely. There is nobody out there. I mean, yes, the people who really make progress long term are the people who are thinking about training the next day. The people who really love it, who have a passion for it. You know, no successful bodybuilder has got there without having a legitimate passion for it. But people are living in a dream world if they truly believe that the people who are successful can manufacture motivation like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. It's physical. So there are times when motivation is very high. Like, for instance, yourself at the moment, you're in a highly motivated state. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. We've got to think...
Some nice sunlight coming in.
We've got to think like... That's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah.
Very good.
We've got to think like 10 weeks down the line from now, when your energy might be a bit lower, when perhaps there's a little bit less immediate return from your efforts. With less reward, it's quite hard to stay motivated. But you have confidence in the process. So in those moments, you've got to understand that sometimes we need to go into autopilot. When you're not motivated to go to the gym, recognize that the reason why you started was at the time, and probably still is, very important to you. If we're talking about achieving better global happiness and confidence, those are things which, just like earning money from the job that you do, for the function of being able to pay a living, or to earn a living rather, it's a massive motivator. It might not excite you in the moment to have to go to work, but just like that, sometimes we need to adopt autopilot and get in the gym regardless of whether we want to be there on that day.
Yeah.
So, you know, high motivation comes in peaks and troughs, but that shouldn't affect, you getting the job done.
Yeah, and of course, you mentioned peaks and troughs. Sometimes those peaks will be significantly higher, stronger than other times. Now, a word that I've always heard thrown around in the minimal conversations I've overheard with people that really focus hard on their training in the gym is the word plateau.
Yes.
Now, in my sense, should I expect to experience this? Should I worry about it if I do experience this? And does the word need to be a negative stimulus in my mind?
No, it doesn't need to be. I don't think you're going to encounter a plateau because the focus of your training changes every 4 weeks. So that allows a good amount of time to progress, but it doesn't allow so much time that you stagnate. So the body will only adapt to a certain point under the same stimulus, which is why, in phase 1 we're focusing on your volume progression, and then in phase 2 we're focusing on your strength progression, and it rotates. Okay, so stagnation or plateauing is not something I'm concerned with right now, and it's in effective programming and execution of said programming where we try to avoid plateauing.
Yeah.
So you've got nothing to worry about in that sense. Your plan is catering for that.
Cool. And in terms of where you looked at me at the start, and obviously you mentioned there's 3 stages to this program. 2 weeks left on the volume progression. am I progressing at a rate which is exciting for my future in terms of away from these 12 weeks? We're looking long term. I don't just want to do this 12 weeks, have the project and the series end, and then I'm just like back to square one again with my box of Twiglets that we were talking about before we started this podcast, and snacking away every night of the week instead of maybe once a week.
Yeah.
What, moving forward, should I be looking at in terms of, obviously right now we're making some serious progress. As a long-term strategy, is there anything that you think I could potentially reach for if I really wanted to take this even more seriously?
Your potential is dictated by two things. The most important thing is your willingness, the level of priority said goal is. And we discussed this in the previous podcast, I believe, actually talking about priority.
Yeah. For the wise.
It's still a case of priority. So it's probably not important for you to be 120 kilos, lean, muscular on a bodybuilding stage, all right?
No, don't think so.
So that's going to limit your potential. Forget genetic potential. Way before that is your desire and your willingness to do what is necessary to get to a certain level.
Yeah.
So that is always going to be the precursor to everything else. That determines the level you want to take it. You will, I think, with the right guidance, you will attain any level that you want, but it's about being patient. So I'll ask you now, like, what is the ultimate level for you? Where would you love your body to be beyond these 12 weeks? Let's say a 3-year goal. Talk to me about your 3-year goal.
I'm trying to think of a good example of someone that we'd all know and be able to recognise if we're thinking of like...
Lawrence Benson?
Lawrence Benson, big plug to the best videographer in London. Solemn Productions, big plug right there for them. Lawrence Benson looks good. He looks good. He's looked better in the past. I'm sure he'd agree.
He's probably a bit too big for you. You don't want to go...
Do you know what? I can't actually
He's got good physique.
pinpoint. He does have a good physique.
I think he's got a very good physique.
He does. He needs to get in on the programme. Where can he find that? TeamTitanium.com.
Yeah, another plug.
Easy. Straight in there. Back to the point at hand. What am I thinking?
3 years.
You know what? I don't know. I would love one day to be able to run a marathon, actually.
Okay.
I don't know how that looks.
That's not a 3-year goal.
It's not a 3-year goal. I could do that in 6 months.
It depends how well you want to do it.
Yeah.
You could do that today. If push came to shove, you could do it today.
If I had a gun to my head, as you've said to me in the past when we're in the sessions, off camera sometimes, gun to my head, could you do it? Would you do it? Yeah, you probably would.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for that question,
That's
which I think is a great place for us to leave podcast number 2 for week number 2. I think at the moment I am just really enjoying the process, and seeing the progress is brilliant. But I think for me, it's always been about sustaining the process in order to carry on the progress. Yeah. And we're hitting that nail on the head right now, I think.
I think so. And I think with 12 weeks, this is a lifestyle change for you. And 12 weeks is enough to not only build the right habits, but also for you to see the benefit of adhering to those habits. It's enough time for you to really see the reward for that. And that's what's going to motivate you, I think, to have permanent change.
I think so. But anyway, we are running out of time on... Well, you've got a train to catch.
Yeah.
Sadly, we need to cater for more time if we want these conversations to go. And I've got a girlfriend who's been working for 9 hours who's going to come back, and I'm sure she's going to want to do something. So
eat protein cookies.
We got a stash of protein cookies. She's got this... I shouldn't be giving this a free plug. I'm not going to say the name of it because it's an amazing thing. I think I told you about this. There's a Google Chrome add-on that automatically inserts the best online discount code for all websites that offer a discount code in the checkout. So we're on My Protein. She wanted these resistance bands, right? For when she's doing her workouts and stuff. And then I'm looking at protein cookies. So I'm thinking, like, if I need a little buzz, if I need something extra, I have a protein cookie. So it's easier on the go than just pitching a barbecue in the middle of the street in Dalston and cooking some chicken.
Although we do see that a lot.
We do see that a lot. But they give you discount codes, and we got a 35% off code, which meant we got 60 cookies for about £35, which works out at less than 50p a cookie.
That's good. That's better than
bloody brilliant.
It's better than Maryland's.
Oh, don't even tempt me. It is a Friday. But anyway, no Maryland cookies for me. I am going to have a good weekend. What have you got planned for this weekend?
For myself, I got a day tomorrow with the lady and training and seeing my family. My little brother's going to be in town, Joshy.
Very nice.
You've done some work with in the past.
I have. If you want to check out a very funny old video, Josh and I went around Newbury trolling. Being reprobates.
Completely different content to this. Like the complete antithesis. But yeah, that's a good one.
That's
I rated
so funny.
that.
Absolutely.
So that's it. That's my weekend. Pretty chilled.
Nice, mate. Well, I've got a similar one. But anyway, you guys that are watching this right now, if you want to get on the same program as me, I've said it a couple of times before. Team Titanium is linked in the description of my YouTube videos. If you want to follow Julian on Instagram, if you're listening to the podcast and you've got Instagram, Julian_Team Titanium. Right now, there is a 4-week free trial. No money to be taken. If you're not happy with the service, you don't have to stick around. But I'm telling you, after 2 weeks, I'm feeling very good. I'm excited for the 3rd week. My legs are aching and I feel like there's a dull pain because I've been sat with this leg just like...
It's dangerous now. Dangerous
chilling.
territory to get up.
I think it's time for a stretch. But on that note, we will catch you all next week. Yeah.
Awesome, man.